the loudest person in your last meeting? Think about them for a second. Now ask yourself honestly, were they the most influential person in the room or just the most exhausting? Welcome back to Speaking with Confidence, the podcast that helps you build the soft skills that lead to real results. Communication, storytelling, public speaking, and showing up with confidence in every conversation that counts. I'm Tim Newman, a recovering college professor turned communication coach, and I'm thrilled to guide you on a journey to becoming a powerful communicator. So here's the question we're answering today. If it's not the loudest voice that wins the room, what does? I've sat through enough meetings, boardrooms, and yes, my own lecture halls to tell you the answer with total confidence. It's not volume. It's not vocabulary. It's a person who says the one thing everybody else in the room was thinking, but couldn't quite put it into words. By the end of this episode, you're going to have 3 specific habits that makes you that person. So let's get into it. You know this person. They show up to every meeting with a 50-slide deck. They use words like synergy and bandwidth, like they're getting paid by the syllable. And once they start talking, they don't stop. They walk out of that meeting convinced they just commanded the room. But the research says otherwise. And so does every face you've ever seen across the conference table. Nearly half of presenters, that's 45%, openly admit that their biggest struggle is summarizing complex information concisely. Think about that. It's not me saying it. That's professionals saying it about themselves. And here's where it gets worse. 75% of workers admit that they don't pay full attention during meetings. So while somebody is up there working through slide 30 of 40, walking the room through every team they coordinated with and every acronym their department uses, 3 out of 4 people in that room have mentally left the building. They're thinking about lunch. They're thinking about the email they need to send. They're decidedly not thinking about vertical integration. That's for sure. Here's what I've come to believe after watching this for years, including watching myself do it from a podium. This isn't an intelligence problem. It's insecurity wearing your vocabulary as a disguise. If I talk for 20 straight minutes and use enough impressive words, nobody can accuse me of not knowing my material. They just assume I'm important because I took up so much air in the room. I've done this. Did it for years in front of classrooms full of 20-year-olds who had absolutely no obligation to care about my syllabus. I would talk and talk, certain that the sheer volume of words proved how prepared I was. What it actually proved was that I had a lot of words. And you've sat in that room too. You know the face people make on slide 42 of 50? The glazed eyes, the phone check they think is subtle, but it's not subtle at all. That's not an engaged audience. That's a hostage situation, and everybody in the room knows it, except for the person at the front. And here's the part that nobody tells you when you're building that wall of jargon to hide behind. It doesn't just fail to impress anybody, it actively erodes their trust in you. Because when you hide behind complexity, what you're actually communicating, whether you mean to or not, is one of 2 different things. Either you don't understand your own idea well enough to explain it simply, or you don't respect the people in front of you enough to try. Neither one of those is the message you're going. So why does volume make you invisible? Here's something I wish somebody had told me back when I was teaching 90-minute lectures and wondering why my students looked like they were aging in real time. Human attention hits a wall. A real, measurable, biological wall. And most of us blow right past it like it's a speed limit sign we didn't bother to read. 91% of people pay attention for their first 15 minutes of a meeting. That's the honeymoon period. After that, the cliff isn't gradual. It's an actual cliff. By the 30-minute mark, 52% of the room has checked out. By 50 minutes, 96% of the people in front of you are gone. Not physically gone, but mentally gone. Their bodies are still in the chairs, but their brains have left the building. TED figured this out a long time ago, and they built an entire format around it. Every talk is capped at 18 minutes. No exceptions. Not for Bill Gates, not for Bono. Chris Anderson, the curator of the whole conference, has said the limit forces a talk to be short enough to hold attention and precise enough to be taken seriously. Now compare that to the average workplace meeting, which clocks in at 79 minutes. That's 27 minutes past the point where almost everybody in the room has mentally checked out. We're scheduling meetings that outlast human neurology and then acting shocked when nobody can remember what was decided on or who was supposed to follow up. Now sit with that for a second. The most accomplished people on the planet get cut off at 18 minutes on a TED stage. Meanwhile, your manager's quarterly update is somehow still going at minute 52 with 14 slides left to cover. The real cost isn't attention, it's memory. 3 days after a typical presentation, people remember about 10% of what they heard. Just 10%. But when the information is clear and structured well, that number jumps to 65%, which means every extra minute you talk past that 15-minute mark without landing a clear point isn't neutral. It's actively costing you. People remember less, they respect you less. You turn into background noise in your own meeting. And it's not that people don't want to hear what you have to say. Their brains, quite literally, cannot process any more of it. You wouldn't keep pouring water into a glass that's already full and expect it to do anything but spill everywhere. So why are you still talking at minute 45? Think about that last long meeting you sat through. Can you actually tell me what the speaker said? Be honest. Most of us remember where we were sitting and what we planned to eat afterward. But understand, that's not a character flaw. That's biology doing exactly what biology does. The math here is brutal, and I want you to really hear this. Every extra minute you talk past the cliff doesn't waste time. It erases the credibility you built in the first 15 minutes. You're not being politely ignored, you're being forgotten in real time while you're still talking. So if talking more makes you invisible, what actually makes you unforgettable? One word: precision. The most influential person in the room is almost never the loudest. It's a person who sits through 10 minutes of chaos, 10 minutes of crosstalk and competing opinions, and then says, so what we're actually trying to solve here is this, and then nails it in a single sentence. This isn't about being quiet for its own sake. It's about being the person who can take a room full of noise and hand everybody a direction. I've watched rooms physically shift towards someone who does this. Heads turn, people lean forward in their chairs, because the first time in 20 minutes, somebody's making sense. And the numbers back this up in a big way. 51% of global employers rank communication as the single most desirable skill in a candidate. Ahead of technical ability, ahead of the degree, ahead of years of experience. Employers would rather hire someone who can explain the HR problem simply than someone who knows everything about it but can't get it out of their own head. This is exactly what the 8th grade rule is built for. If an 8th grader can't follow your point, you don't have a point yet. You have a vocabulary problem dressed up as an idea. Let me be clear, because I'm sure people hear that and assume I'm telling you to dumb things down. I'm not. I'm telling you to respect people's time and mental energy enough to do the hard work of simplifying it for them, instead of making them do the work of decoding you. There's a dollar figure attached to this too. It's not small. Poor communication costs companies more than $9,000 per employee every single year. Now scale that to 1,000 employees, and you're looking at over $9 million lost to people talking past each other. The person who simplifies doesn't just sound smarter in the room. They're quite literally saving the company money. And here's the best part. You don't need to be the smartest person at the table to be the clarifier. You just need to be the one actually paying attention while everyone else is busy performing. The clarifier isn't showing off, they're showing up. In a room full of people trying to sound impressive, being the one person who makes things clear is the single most impressive thing that you can actually do. Now, I told you I'd give you 3 habits that turn you from just another participant in the architect of the conversation. Here they are. Habit 1 is a 2-second pause. Before you respond to anything in a meeting, count 2 full seconds in your head before you speak. Most of us panic-filled silence because we're terrified of looking like we don't have an answer already ready. That 2-second pause does 2 things. It signals confidence to everybody watching, and it gives your brain just enough time to ask, what is actually we're saying right now? Most of the time, the honest answer is less than you think. Habit 2 is a 1-sentence summary. Before you open your mouth, finish the sentence silently. The one thing I want people to leave with is this. If you can't finish that sentence, you don't have a point yet. You have a thought, and not every thought needs to be said out loud in a meeting. This single habit will cut your speaking time in half and double how much people actually walk away remembering. Habit 3 is a clarification question. Instead of tossing one more opinion onto the pile, ask a question that exposes the real problem. Something like, What problem are we actually trying to solve here? Or maybe, what does success look like in one sentence? That question alone shifts you from being one more voice in the noise to being the person who just saved everybody 20 minutes. These numbers should drive the point home. 86% of employees and executives say a lack of effective communication is the leading cause of workplace failures. The clarifier isn't just impressive in the moment. They're the person actively preventing the disaster nobody else saw coming. Start using these 3 habits and something strange happens pretty quickly. People start looking at you when a conversation gets messy. They start waiting to hear what you think before they make the call. Not because you're the loudest person in the room, because you're the one who brings the clarity. Now, I want to be clear about something. These aren't personality transplants. You don't need to become a different person. These are tactical switches you can flip in your very next meeting starting today. You don't need to be funnier, louder, or have a bigger title sitting under your name. You need to deliver clarity. And that's the whole game. And that's where the actual influence lives. Influence was never a title you put on a LinkedIn headline. It's what happens when you walk into a room and people quietly relax because they know that whatever mess is waiting in there, you're going to help them make sense of it. So you don't need to talk more. You don't need bigger words. You need precision, a little patience, and the courage to say less than you're tempted to. Now, if you want to go deeper on this, it's something we work on inside the Forming for Public Speaking course. But you don't need to sign up for anything to start. You just need your next conversation. So what's the meeting on your calendar this week? Walk in, try the 2-second pause and the 1-sentence summary, and just watch what happens in the room. That's all for today. Remember, we're looking for progress, not perfection. Be sure to visit speakingwithconfidencepodcast.com to get your free ebook, Top 21 Challenges for Public Speakers and How to Overcome Them. You can also register for the Forming for Public Speaking course. Always remember, your voice has the power to change the world. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.